Hello again, Internet. Today I'm going to be reacting to a documentary about our favourite partycore band from Germany. Yes, I'm talking about Electric Callboy. The film was produced by Breakdown Media, so make sure you head to his channel, subscribe to it, watch the video in full and like it and all that kind of jazz. I watched one of his videos about baby metal a few months back and I thought it was really good and extremely insightful, so I decided to do the same, but this time for Electric Callboy. Hopefully you'll have some fun watching it along with me. We can have a bit of a laugh, some banter. I'll pause and talk all over it inevitably, so I will of course put a link to the original video in the description below. So on that note, let's do the reaction thing.
The story of Electric Callboy is a wild one. Honestly, I don't even know how to properly describe this band. Equal parts EDM and breakdown heavy metalcore, I guess. But somehow, that weird mix of genres birthed an entirely new subgenre, partycore. And leading the charge, a bunch of lovable German rogues who brought something totally fresh to the metalcore scene. But while they've recently broken into the mainstream eye, this wasn't an overnight success. From lineup shakeups to full-blown identity changes, and even a brush with Eurovision, the origin story of Electric Callboy is anything but predictable. So, in this video, we're going to discuss how Electric Callboy broke into the metalcore scene and made it their own. The year is 2010, and deep within a modest town in Western Germany houses a group of 6 lads who started a band with one simple goal: to have fun. At this time, the band was known as Eskimo Callboy. Stick with me here. It's a weird name, I know, but the band's story gets even weirder. The band, ironically, did not mess about and wasted no time dropping their first self-titled, self-released EP that same year in 2010, and it spread like wildfire in their local scene, mainly due to the fact that no one could understand what they were actually listening to. It was like a German cocktail of Eurodance synths and metalcore screams, but all they knew was that they liked it.
I remember hearing Hyper Hyper for the first time and thinking to myself, what the effing fuck is this? But I love it. So God only knows what they were thinking back then.
The tone of this EP really set the stage for their career early on, with the band openly admitting that in the early years their music was meant to be satire and comedic. But this didn't stop the metalcore gatekeepers from rinsing the EP early on, with one reviewer going as far to say that instead of laughing with them, he was laughing at them due to how talentless and pathetic their music really was. It was clear early on, and really not that surprising, that their music was going to cause a huge divide in the scene. You were either going to love them or hate them, but regardless, people were talking about them from their very first project, leading Redfield Records to come knocking that same year in 2010 for the band to start working on their debut album. The next few years were a whirlwind for Eskimo Callboy, with the band gaining a reputation in Germany for their crazy shows, a reputation that still lives on to this day, and I can vouch for that firsthand. And with the word spreading, they channeled this energy into their debut album, Bury Me in Vegas. Released in March 2012, the best way to describe this album is almost like a celebration of excess, with titles like Ice Ice Baby and California Girls, you know, like the Katy Perry song, with the album cover featuring 80s style imagery in neon colours, perfectly mirroring the band's music vibe. While looking back at the band we know now, it was on brand, but at the time, music critics didn't have a fucking clue how to review this album, apart from one critic, who pretty bluntly stated Bury Me in Vegas is an album that needs to be buried away.
They really didn't like them, did they?
In a faraway place and to be blown up and never be heard of or seen again. Not exactly a glowing review, but as is often the case.
Oh, he looks so young and sprightly and fresh-faced. Mystery Girl really likes Kevin. A bit too much for my liking.
But as is often the case, the reviewer's words were not the be-all and end-all, and the Germans absolutely loved this shit, with the Eskimo Callboy fanbase rapidly growing thanks to their unique image and metalcore kids that were just looking for a good time.
This is it. Metal music doesn't necessarily always have to be about dragons and Satanism and death and angst and depression. Not that all metal music is like that, of course, but a lot of naive people and uneducated people out there just assume that's what metal's about. It's really angry and shouty and screamy. No, it's not. It doesn't have to be like that. This is where Electric Callboy bridged that gap. They've got really fucking heavy music, shouty music, but it just makes you smile, it uplifts you, it makes you want to dance. You can't not listen to one of their tunes or watch one of their music videos or watch an interview with the guys and just not be happy. And that's why I love the band so much.
Come summer 2013, the band's hard work paid off, as they won the Best Newcomer Up-and-Coming Award at the 2013 German Metal Hammer Awards, a sign that despite the negative critics, the mainstream metal media had to start paying them some respect. Eskimo Callboy was seemingly unstoppable, but behind the scenes, things weren't so smooth, as after a big hometown show in late 2012, drummer Micah announced that he was leaving the band. This was an emotional moment for the lads, as it was their first lineup change when things were really starting to take off.
That must have been really tough because they were finally gaining some momentum, getting some recognition, and then they lose the spine of their band. It must have almost felt like one step forward, two steps back.
But they dusted themselves off and quickly found a replacement, with David Carl Friedrich, sorry for the pronunciation, taking over on the drums. And with a dominant year in Germany in 2012, the lads set their sights on a much bigger goal, cracking the US market, so off they set in early 2013 for their first ever US tour, joining the likes of Cottonmouth Kings and playing to curious, to say the least, US crowds. By summer of the same year, they were on stage at the legendary Wacken Open Air Festival in Germany, an insane growth from playing in home studios 2 years ago in a small German town.
That must have been insane and such a huge culture shock for them, going from playing sweaty little clubs to Wacken Open Air Festival. That is mental.
And they capitalised on this opportunity, as they proved that their partycore could win over a huge festival audience just as well as small hometown clubs. Riding the synth waves of their debut success, Eskimo Callboy headed back to the studio with one clear goal: go even fucking bigger and crazier. In early 2014, they dropped their second album, We Are The Mess, and it was an instant hit. The album's release shows in Germany were absolutely wild. Packed venues with fans moshing and discotheque dancing in equal measure, as the band delivered filthy breakdowns 1 minute and goofy dance beats the next. And in fairness, We Are The Mess did exactly what it said on the tin. It was a glorious mess of genres and lyrics, and the numbers back this up, as the album shot to number 8 on the German album charts, a huge jump from the fairly modest charting of their debut, showing that Eskimo Callboy wasn't just a novelty act. They were becoming legit stars in the German metal scene. With that, the critics finally started to warm up a bit, as some noted that the band had improved in their songwriting and production, even if the songs were still about sex, hamsters and fuck knows what else. But Eskimo Callboy didn't care, and they leaned into this reputation. Sushi and Kevin built a perfect dynamic duo presence while performing, with the band not only breaking into the US market, but even touring the album as far as Japan. It was clear the crazy mix of techno and metal was earning them a cult-like following. The band toured relentlessly, and during this era, they started experimenting beyond just party anthems. On their third album, Crystals, in 2015, Eskimo Callboy introduced a more polished sound. Now, Crystals didn't exactly have the same level of insane growth as the previous album. Still, it was an improvement, reaching number 6 on the German album charts, and it proved that their fan base was still steadily growing. This was again confirmed when they were signed by their first major record label, Spine Farm Records, giving them an even bigger platform. Fast forward to 2017, and Eskimo Callboy released The Scene, their 4th studio album. They were now really breaking into the US mainstream audience, helped by features from the likes of Attila's Chris Fons on the title track The Scene, and the lead single MC Thunder became a fan favourite. Offstage, some of the band members even started fully embracing pop culture, with drummer David appearing on German reality shows such as The Bachelorette and I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and quickly became the most familiar face of the band to the German TV audiences. Suddenly, Eskimo Callboy weren't just underground darlings, they were flirting with mainstream recognition, appearing on national TV and much larger festival lineups. Through it all though, they never compromised their identity. Outrageous, fun, and funny as fuck. And those themes resonated way more with the audience than the band realised at the time, with Kevin looking back on reflection saying, "Our band got much bigger, and we got so many messages that said, my life is depressing, sometimes I just need one of your videos or songs to get me through it, and that's all we wanted to do."
Everyone needs an electric callboy. I've said this so many times during my previous reactions to this band. You just need something in this day and age, not just through music, but just in life in general, that helps you step away from all of the doom and the gloom and the horrible things that we read and scroll through in the news and through social media on a daily basis. And for me, this is that band. They are my respite from all of that. I can't not listen to them and just not feel better about everything. We all need an electric callboy. I don't care who you are. what your favourite genre of music is. Get into this band.
Yeah, beneath all of that success, cracks were quietly starting to form within the band, hinting that a big change was just around the corner. By 2019, almost a decade of hard touring and pressure to keep the hype going had taken its toll. Eskimo Callboy was always about having a good time, but some members felt their musical growth was being held back by their goofy image. They started working on their 5th album, conveniently titled Rehab, which released in late 2019 and saw the band experimenting with a more mature sound, most notably with the increases in melodies, emotional weight, and darker lyrical themes. Don't get me wrong, it's their most accessible album to that point, with tracks like Hurricane and Prism showing they could be more
Great
than
tracks.
just party boys. But the reactions were extremely mixed. Some longtime fans embraced the evolution, but others missed the non-stop silliness and breakdowns. One reviewer even went as far to say that this was lazy of the band to charge what was essentially a full price for a short album, with an approximate runtime of around 30 minutes, labelling Rehab a product of minimum effort and therefore minimum results.
What the fuck? There's no rules into how long an album should be. Some of my favourite albums are less than 28 minutes long. Shut the fuck up, mate.
In early 2020, just months after Rehab's release, Eskimo Callboy made a shocking announcement. Sushi was leaving the band. The news dropped on the band's social media, citing creative differences between Sushi and the band as the reason for the split. But you've got to remember, at that time, Sushi wasn't just a member, he was the frontman and face of the band. Not long after the announcement, Sushi had already found his new creative outlet, a more industrial metal act named Ghost Kid, where he felt he could pursue the serious, broody music he was missing out on during his time in Eskimo Callboy. The remaining members all publicly wished Sushi well, and it ended on as best terms as it could have. But still, to the fans, it felt like it was an end of an era, with many left asking if Eskimo Callboy could even continue without one of their dual vocalists. 2020 was really a shit show for the whole entire world, but especially so for Eskimo Callboy, as they had just lost a key member just as their band was starting to blow up, and a global pandemic was just around the corner, meaning live music everywhere was going to be completely shut down.
COVID was fucking wank, wasn't it? It was a moment in time that in 10, 20, 30 years and more, people are going to go, back in 2020, we were locked in our homes for almost 2 years. And children are going to say, Dad, Granddad, you're fucking lying to me. They probably won't use those exact words. It's insane, isn't it? We locked ourselves in our homes for 2 years whilst our leaders and politicians went out on the raz, shagged each other and got pissed. If there is any pandemic moving forwards and they attempt or want us to stay at home, I'm not fucking doing it. I'm telling you, I will not be doing it this time. I'm going to be running around, living my life as normal. Life is too short, especially when the people directing us and making these rules aren't abiding by it. I don't know why I brought all of that up. I just felt I needed to say it, and this is my platform to express myself. So thank you for listening.
In fairness, at this point, I don't think anyone would have blamed the lads if they just decided to leave it as it is and quit. But they stuck it out, and holy shit did that resilience pay off.
They did.
They launched a public search for a new singer, receiving audition tapes from around the world. And in April 2020, Kevin, housed in what seemed to be a lockdown bunker of sorts, announced via YouTube that he had found the perfect fit. Enter Nico Salak, former vocalist of German metalcore band To the Rats and Wolves. Nico was a longtime friend of the band, with his old band even touring with Eskimo Callboy way back in 2014, and he brought a new level of enthusiasm to the band.
And this is what you've also got to think about. They were a band for about 10 years at this point. They'd released 5 albums. They'd just lost their lead vocalist. Morale would have been extremely low. So to bring someone into the band, such as Nico, who is just a huge bundle of joy and enthusiasm, will inevitably lift their spirits and give them the urge to be creative and write new music again, and just give them that sparkle that they were missing.
Along with a voice that could handle both screaming and clean singing. With Nico on board, the band wasted no time, and despite pandemic restrictions, they got to writing and recording with their new lineup. Just weeks later, Eskimo Callboy dropped a song that would change everything called Hyper Hyper. This track was a massive return to their fun-loving
Changed
roots,
my life.
but cranked all the
Changed
way
my
up to
channel.
11. You had 80s synth pop, Eurodance, and metalcore breakdowns all crammed into one beautiful neon package. Fans old and new went crazy for Hyper Hyper, and in such a shit, dark year such as 2020, it was exactly what the world needed and just at the right time.
100%,
and the numbers
mate.
reflected
Couldn't have said it
this,
better
as
myself.
Hyper Hyper went viral on YouTube, racking up tens of millions of views and even achieved gold certification in Germany and Austria, a first for the band. On paper, the pandemic should have destroyed them. Everything was
They
set
found
against
their
the band,
formula.
but Kevin said it best by saying that the pandemic period helped them to find themselves again. Stripped of live shows and distractions, the band rediscovered why they started all of this in the first place: to have fun and bring people together. Little did they know that during this period of reflection, that their next move would catapult them into an insane level of fame and a major transformation for the band's identity. The Hyper Hyper high continued into 2021, and Eskimo Callboy stumbled onto a formula that worked.
Were they still called Eskimo Callboy even in 2021? I thought they'd changed their name a bit before then, if I'm completely honest.
Heavy music could be hilarious, and silly antics could go hand in hand with genuine talent. They also realised the power of the internet in spreading their gospel, so they doubled down, and in September 2021, the band dropped a new single and video, We Got the Moves. And once again, the internet lost its mind. We Got the Moves was a breakout moment, garnering insane views on YouTube and providing this now iconic dance move. At one point, the song was even averaging about 250,000 streams per day.
Whoa.
That's just how viral it went. Eskimo Callboy had proven that this was not a fluke, and they'd perfected the formula. And then something happened. The reaction community got a hold of this song.
I was late to the party on this one. I started doing music reactions on my channel in 2023, but I didn't react to Electric Callboy until June or July of 2024. There was a bunch of viewers that were just bullying me into reacting to this German random band that play something called partycore, and I was just like, no, I'm not interested in it. But they kept persevering in the comments to pretty much every video that I was making that had no relation to them whatsoever. And in the end, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll give this track a listen so that you can leave me alone. And it just snowballed from there. I'm a huge fan. I've got a t-shirt. I've seen them live when they hopefully play and announce a gig in London. They've announced shows all throughout the UK aside from London, and I think they're doing that for a bit of marketing cleverness, but I'm expecting them to play potentially the O2 Arena, so I'm looking forward to that one. But yeah, they're arguably one of, if not my favourite musical discovery since I've been doing YouTube.
Even to the point where the band was reacting to reaction videos of their song, creating the ultimate inception. By the end of 2021, the band had essentially conquered the online metal world, and anticipation was building for what
It's
they
really
would do
clever.
next.
It's
I don't
clever.
think anyone could have predicted the huge change to the band's identity that was coming. Throughout their career, the band's name Eskimo Callboy had always been a bit provocative and goofy, but as their fame grew, so did the scrutiny of the name's implications. And the band had originally chosen the name back in 2010, obviously with no ill intent. But times have changed, and the band were listening to concerns of some fans. As Kevin stated, they didn't want to be a band that doesn't give a shit about other people, and that they have to bring people together, not divide or separate them.
Yeah, I don't think they ever had any ill intention. They've just got a weird sense of humour. And rightfully, if it is going to offend people and hold them back and cause controversy, then you've got to make that decision whether you keep or change the name. They changed it, and fair play to them for owning up and doing what they needed to do.
So, after more than 10 years, the band took the extremely risky move of removing the name Eskimo Callboy and replacing it with Electric Callboy. It didn't just stop at a name change either. At the end of 2021, Electric Callboy began quietly removing some of their oldest songs from streaming platforms, most of which had lyrics or titles that have become increasingly problematic in modern times, in their own words. When the news hit the mainstream, surprisingly the fans' reception to it was mainly positive, with most applauding the band for making a respectful change. And almost simultaneously with their name change, Electric Callboy, who was still technically Eskimo Callboy at the time, became attached in a high-profile music competition, the kind that would skyrocket them to an even wider audience. the Eurovision Song Contest. In late 2021, fresh off their viral success, the band decided to apply to represent Germany at Eurovision 2022.
Genius.
Now, Eurovision acts
Publicity.
are typically pop acts, not a metalcore band fully equipped with mullets, but the internet loved the idea.
They're
they
clever
had a chance
guys. They
too.
play dumb,
One of
but
their
they're
lead
very
singles,
clever and
Pump It,
intelligent.
was just under the 3-minute mark, meeting the Eurovision requirements, and had nearly 2 million views on YouTube in its first week. The band even made a YouTube video announcing their submission, hashtagging it Electric Callboy for Eurovision Song Contest, with numerous Eurovision blogs reporting on it. But come 2022, when a German broadcaster revealed the list of 6 finalists for the national Eurovision selection, Electric Callboy had been completely snubbed, despite an insane level of support from the public. People were pissed, even to the point a change.org petition was set up, begging broadcasters to give Electric Callboy a wildcard slot, with over 100,000 signatures. But unfortunately, the band didn't make it. But it was clear to everyone that Electric Callboy was the people's choice to represent Germany, and this only added to the Electric Callboy legend, setting them up perfectly for their biggest success to date. Electric Callboy had conquered the internet, and now it was time to conquer the charts. With their new name and a collection of viral hits, the band funneled all that momentum into their next full-length album. In September 2022, they released Techno, their 6th studio album, but first under their new name, with the
It's
title
killer
being
from
a cheeky
beginning
nod
to
to
end,
their
isn't it?
techno and Eurodance influences, and the album was packed with bangers, with the likes of We Got the Moves, Pump It, Spaceman, and the response to this new album was massive. Techno debuted at #1 in the official German charts, an achievement that even some of Germany's biggest rock bands struggled to reach. This time around, the reviews of Techno were largely positive. Even those that claimed it was shallow fun admitted that it was extremely effective shallow fun. The band achieved exactly what they aimed to return to, making you smile, laugh, and having fun making the music they loved, and it very clearly showed. Electric Callboy began the Techno World Tour in late 2022 and 23, and the shows often sold out within days, proving that the band had a genuine global pulling power.
Look at the
Fast forward
state
to
of those crowds.
2023, and Electric Callboy were just about to announce a collab that would completely break YouTube, when they announced a collab between them and Baby Metal for the song Ratatata, blending J-pop and Eurodance in a way that only Electric Callboy could.
It was the song of the
collab
summer.
was fucking huge, hitting #1 on YouTube's trending chart and gaining 1 million streams within 24 hours of its release. By this point, nothing felt out of reach for the boys, even to the point that Ratatata was picked up as the official theme song for a WWE wrestling event in Germany, showing that Electric Callboy had truly crossed over to mainstream culture. By 2024, Electric Callboy was on top of the world. But as we all know, what goes up must come down. In late 2024, during an Australian tour, drummer David had to leave mid-tour due to illness and was temporarily replaced by a fill-in.
Curse of the drummer.
By fill-in, I mean the extremely established drummer from Sum 41, Frank Zumo. And despite the claims of illness, fans knew something was off. Fast forward to April 2025, and the fans were right, as the news came out that David, the band's drummer at 13 years, announced his departure from Electric Callboy due to wanting to pursue a new direction in life. This was another end of an era moment, as David had been with them since replacing Micah in 2012 and genuinely grew up with the band. But once again, the boys dusted themselves off and reassured fans that the show would go on, and even provided fans this brilliant teaser video announcing the return of Frank Zuma on drums for their tour run this year.
He's been great for
in
the
what
band,
looks to
hasn't
be
he?
another breakout year for them.
Personality as well.
I think we're gonna need a drummer.
I'll have to ask my boys and check with them. Let me ask them. Hey boys, Electric Callboy's on the phone. They want to know if I want to go play festivals with them in the summer in Europe. What do you think?
I've never seen this.
Alright dudes, I guess I'm in.
As of 2025, in a
That's so
world full
cute.
of gatekeepers and genre snobs within the metal scene, Electric Callboy proves that you can still have fun, and most importantly, have some absolute banger songs that teach us not to take life too seriously. So, I'm going to use this as an excuse to say, Eurovision, sort your shit out and let the people's champion represent Germany in the next contest. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this documentary, you'll love this one on screen.
I really like the way that documentary flows. You did a brilliant job once again, Breakdown Media. Well done you. What did you think of that at home, boys and girls? Let me know in the comments section below. And if there were any anomalies, then please enlighten us with your knowledge. Thank you for watching. Look after yourself, and hopefully I will see you very soon. Bye for now, people.